How to do your makeup to avoid a flare-up if you are an eczema-prone, sensitive skin girly like me. And I know what you're thinking, Emily, your skin looks perfect. And to be honest, you're close to right, but here are my credentials. So I mentioned in another video my personal journey with my skin and where I'm currently at, but today I've got like a little bit of redness here, a little bit of dryness above my lip. They're my main spots. Before we dive into my tips and tricks, I think we need to get a few things out there. One of them being our skin isn't like other people's skin, okay? We just have to accept that. People can use skincare products that we could never in a million years. People can use foundations and products that we can't. And people can use different techniques that we just can't because of the nature of our skin. And that's okay. And I think we need to remember the end goal for us, well, it is for me anyway, and that is to have naturally nice skin, and to do that we need to take care of it. So this isn't going to be a tutorial of how to cover up extremely flared skin. I can do one of those, but I have had to do that in the past because there have been events where I've wanted it to look amazing and I've felt that I needed to. So one of them was like the YouTube party a few years ago, back when I got invited to those things, not anymore. But my skin was like at its worst and I just wanted to look great and feel normal. So I did do like a really heavy makeup look. And let's say if my skin was really flared and I was getting married or something, then I would want to do a really heavy makeup look where you couldn't see anything like that. But I think for the day-to-day, looking good is good enough. I don't have to look perfect and I don't have to have perfect skin. And I think we have to kind of accept that. So like with these bits here, you're gonna see in a second, but I'm not gonna attempt to cover them. I'm not gonna put anything on that bit of skin because it's more important to me that that bit of skin kind of heals and doesn't get worse. Oh, if you don't put anything on it, isn't it gonna look dry? Yeah it is, because I have dry skin. And no matter how much primer or moisturizer, it's gonna look dry. Especially the more you wear makeup on it, it's gonna dry out through the day, okay? And I think whilst it's hard to accept and it's hard to come to terms with, especially in the modern era when there's so much photoshopping and filters that are readily accessible to the general public, it is difficult to put yourself out there in the world where your skin is a little bit dry. But that is just the nature of things. We have dry skin, other people have spots, some people have dry skin and spots. Even celebrities that spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on cosmetic treatments, they still have skin like that. So I think you have to, one, try and remove yourself from online spheres or media where there's so much photoshopping to kind of remind yourself what real skin looks like. And just be kind to yourself, because the more unrealistic standards you set for your skin about how it has to be perfect all the time, the more you're going to stress yourself out and the more you're going to flare. On that note, no, we will not be using any skin prep here, because I don't even use moisturiser on my skin because I found it to flare up my skin, and I would rather have dry skin than red, irritated skin that's like spreading. So that's why I'm just managing these red areas. It is what it is, it's fine. So I'm gonna go through all the products I'm gonna use with you. Obviously, different people flare to different things. So you might try some of these products and be like, that is the worst thing I've ever tried. Some things that I can't use might work for you. That's absolutely fine. The first product I'm gonna use is for my eyebrows, and it's this NYX gel. And the reason that I use this is because it stains the skin. So even once you remove the makeup, you can still see it there. And I like that because I have very little natural eyebrows. So it means that the next day when I'm not wearing any makeup, I still feel like I have eyebrows, which is a novelty in my family. And I also feel like when you're trying to not wear a lot of makeup, something as simple as, you know, plucking and shaping your eyebrows and having them a bit more prominent can just really just improve the way your face looks with very little effort and very little product. So now that my eyebrows done, I'm going to move on to eyeliner and mascara. Except here's the thing, I don't use either. The reason I don't is because I've just found removing mascara in particular is a nightmare, and all that rubbing just causes a flare up. And I've not found a mascara that I can use that doesn't flare me up. Similar thing with eyeliner. So instead of using eyeliner, I use black eyeshadow and then this little brush here. And the best thing about this is, let me just check this is the right one. Yes, is that this is a very old brush of my mother's and it's broken. So I had this little pot from this amazing plant-based lash brand, which unfortunately I don't think is going anymore. But I just took out one of the black eyeshadows from one of my palettes and put it in there. So if I'm like on the go, I can just put that in there and then it's like makeup on the go. But the great thing about using eyeshadow instead of eyeliner is that if you like mess up your wing, you can just wipe it off, to be honest. Like, and it's gonna leave like a tiny bit of a shadow, but if your skin's all right there, you can put some concealer on there and just clean it up. So that wing was actually all right. I just did that for demonstration purposes because that's how dedicated I am to this video. I'm just gonna redo that, and then as long as you're not rubbing your face later on, it's just gonna stay there. And then also, because I'm gonna apply some eyelash glue, that will really fix it in place. That is the worst eyeliner I think I've ever done in my life. I have no justification to that. I just want to make a formal apology. Of course, it would be the one time that I'm actually showing how I do my eyeliner. It is what it is. It's not that deep. So, before I gave a little spoiler alert to my alternative to mascara, which is fake eyelashes. Oh my God, who would have guessed? But I have very short eyelashes anyway that point downwards and are blonde. So I personally am not mourning the loss of mascara from my routine. Instead, what I do now Green Girl is closed, I get these half lashes off Amazon. They're like £6 for, I don't know how many are there. 8? 8. Can you believe that I have like multiple A stars in multiple mass qualifications? Because right now I can't. But anyway, I get the Duo eyelash glue. I have found that I've had no problems with this. And then I got the one with the brush on adhesive. The reason I do that is because I found when you apply eyelash glue, like it is an eyeliner, so basically where you want the false eyelash to sit, for some reason, particularly on the inner corner, the fake eyelash sits better, which is weird. But for some reason, this is the only way that my eyelashes don't come off. Maybe it's because I'm using more product, who knows? But this is just what works for me. And at the end of this video, I'm going to show you what I use to take off my makeup. It's the one product that I found doesn't aggravate my skin. And once the glue has gone clear, instead of having that like bluey glaze to it, and you can just about see where it was. So I don't know if you can tell in this light, but this one you can still see how it's a bit bluey. So that one's not ready to go yet. Whereas this one is just clear and a little bit shiny. So I get my eyelashes and I just pop them on. And I personally feel that already my face is massively different with just emphasising my eyes and my eyebrows. So if I was having a bad skin day and I was like flaring up round here, then this is as far as I would go. And I'd be happy with this because I feel a little bit glam, but I'm not going to be sacrificing the welfare of my skin to go even further of this because, you know, sometimes it's all you need, okay? Just a little bit of effort to make yourself feel a bit fancy without risking a flare-up. However, we can go further than this. So one thing I would like to say is that I do actually reuse these eyelashes. If you have more sensitive eyes, maybe don't do that, but I had this little tin that came with my Green Girl eyelashes, and every time I've taken off my eyelashes at the end of the night, no matter how drunk I am, first thing I do is wash my hands and the lashes go back in here, and then they go back there. So they're not collecting dust or anything, they are safe in here, because dust is a massive trigger for me. And I don't know if you can see in the framing of everything, but all my brushes and everything go back in here. They're not left open on the side, they're kept in here to protect them from dust, because putting something that's about to touch your face in something that flares you up massively is just insanity. Let's use our brains here, okay? And I say that because I wasn't using my brain for so long and I was like, I don't understand why I'm flaring up. And it's like, because you're literally leaving your brushes to collect dust. Weird. And then, let's say I'm traveling, I have this little silicone case, and this is where I keep my makeup brushes when I'm traveling, just to separate them from the rest of my makeup bag so that they don't get contaminated with anything that could flare up my face. Okay, on to the next stage. So the next stage for me is I would do some kind of contour. The two products that I use, well, the two main products that I use on my face are from the Rimmel kind of free range. So I got two of the concealers. Now this is not a product that I would buy again, not because it doesn't work for me, but because I'm not convinced it's the best decision for other people, because I think this concealer range has like 4 or 5 shades, and obviously this is the dark one that is meant for people with darker skin tones, and if I keep on buying this to use as concealer, then there might not be enough left for someone who this is the only shade they can use in that range. I mean, the fact that it has 4 shades is ridiculous anyway, but that's just my personal opinion on it. So I will be trialing other products that are intended to be used as some kind of like contour bronzing anyway, because obviously your contour shade is meant to be slightly cooler toned. I use this to bronze and sculpt, if you will. So whilst I use it now, I'm not encouraging you to buy it. I don't think you should. I won't be buying it again for that reason. However, the concealer, close enough to my shade, I will use it. It might actually be a bit pale at the moment because of my phototherapy. Obviously my skin is being tanned through that because I'm effectively going on a sunbed twice a week. So when I do my makeup, if you look where the light naturally hits your face, that's where you want to be contouring. So you can kind of see here, like there, I'm getting a natural... We've lost the other camera angle, it's just me and you now, girl. Okay, that is where natural shadow is forming. So that's just what I want to emphasize here. So I'm gonna put like a tiny bit here, because a little does go a long way with this. So a bit there, and that's where I'm gonna be blending down and kind of like up around here. You'll see the blending process in a second. The next bit I'm gonna go is just a tiny bit along my nose. So I just wanna emphasize the shape here. Okay, so let's start with the nose. I'm gonna blend that out with my finger. I'm a little bit sweaty because it's a bit hot, so it's doing not great things to the formula, but oh well. I'm gonna get my brush out of my dust-free case, and then I'm gonna take this on its side. So this is a brush that I got from Lush years ago when I was using their foundation sticks. And I've not actually tried them. I'd like to go back to that and see what they're like, but I don't use foundation at the moment because I wanna see my natural skin through whatever products I'm using. So I'm gonna put that on the side there to blend that out. You see how you get that line? And then I'm gonna take it perpendicular to my face, flat on, and then push it a bit more in. Oh, it looks pretty harsh on there, but it looks all right. It looks all right from the front, I promise, but it does look pretty harsh on there. I'll have to change that angle. And then we'll do the same from this side. So extend the line using the angle part of the brush and then flat on to blend it out. Can you see that? I'm gonna put down the nose here just to soften that out before I go in with concealer. Okay, so now we're on to concealer. So I'm using the shade 030 medium, and I'm just gonna put a tiny dot in that corner there, tiny dot in that corner, there, and there. Okay, and sometimes if I've completely messed up my contour and my skin's okay down there, I'll put a line here just to, you know, sort that out. So kind of blend that out, and then that emphasises that even more. And then I'm going to just do one tiny little line down the middle and just a bit more at the side. So this is not to conceal my skin, it's to brighten. And then I use a finger to tap out the concealer rather than a brush, because the finger has your nice natural body warmth, so it will melt the product into your skin and will just be a much smoother application than if you try to go in with the brush. So I'm just tapping that around there. And then once you've done that, you can add the brush back in and then go down the nose, okay. So that's my version of like a bronzing contour done. So you can see we've got some dimension that's been emphasised on my face. Now the next product that I use is this Fast Base Blush from Revolution here, in the shade Bear. So then I personally like to apply this, just like dab it just above where I put my bronzing product. Slightly more on that side, oh well. And then this is really creamy and beautiful. I was really anxious when I first started using this because I am very scared of moisturiser, because I know the effect that it has on my skin and it might like massively flares me up. Thankfully I've had no issues with this. I don't know why I put so much of that on. Nothing goes right the second you pull out a camera. It's just the way of the world. So there we go, nice bit of blush. And that is as much product as I'm going to put on my skin, because I've suffered so much with my skin, you know. I've seen my skin in such terrible states that the state that it's in at the moment is great, and I think I'm very lucky with how my skin is at the moment. And these little imperfections around here, these little areas of redness and, you know, the slight darkness that you can see around my eyes and my freckles and stuff like that, it is just the nature of skin, you know. Like, we shouldn't be aiming to be matting out and blurring everything back where we were in 2016. Let me show you some photos of that. We have to accept what skin looks like, and I don't think the aim should be to cover it all. Like, you should be able to see your skin through it. The thought of like caking my face in foundation right now almost like gives me anxiety, because I can just feel the flare up forming just at the thought of doing that. So for me, this is enough, and I've come to terms with it, and now I'm happy with it. So hopefully you can as well. Let's move on to a few other little exciting bits, okay? So if my skin around my lips is fine, obviously it's a tiny bit flared today, so I maybe shouldn't be doing this, but I think it'll be fine. Like, I've been in much worse states. These are two things that I use on my lips, which is the NYX lip pencil in Natural. I hear this is like a cult favourite and everyone wants it. And then the butter gloss in Bits of Honey. I'm going to tell you a cautionary tale here whilst I do this. If you have any dry skin at all around your mouth or lips, like you suffer with dry skin on your lip, do not, for the love of God, buy one of those lip stains that are massively viral on social media, because that is not going to end well for you, I promise. I have seen this, I have done this, you don't want this. Let my terrible experience speak for you. So, I should probably go back to actually what I'm doing on here on the lips. So make sure your pencil's nice and sharp. I'm just going like 3 to 5 millimeters, it's very technical here, outside the edge of my lip. So just slightly overlining it. And then I'm using, and can keep it like angled towards my skin. And then I'm gonna kind of draw on it. So not drawing on it like that, but like that. And that way you're just diffusing and blending the colour down into your lips. And that way, if your lip gloss wears off, you don't have any harsh lines. Now a bit of butter gloss. I don't know why I looked in the camera there like I could do this blind, because I really can't. So now we have the lips done. Okay, and then you're thinking, what if I want a bit of a fancy touch? I got you. So I have this Fenty Beauty Trophy Wife Kilowatt highlighter that I've had for years and years and years now. So if I want to feel a little bit fancy, I have this little brush here, and this is really, really beautiful if you have like a warm toned complexion. Like I'm very warm toned and very bronze at the moment, as I said, thanks to the phototherapy. So I could put like a little bit of this here, and I'm like dotting it on. So with this like this, I want the glitter particles to just float around there. And I don't know if you're able to see, but it catches really nicely in the light. What I don't want is like a harsh line like that. Like I feel like in 2016, that's how we would have done our highlighter, and it would have been like a full-on streak across my face. Awful. So I just use this brush to kind of like softly dot the little bits of glitter around, and it just gives a nice little shimmer without anything too harsh. And then if I want to put like a tiny bit in my eyes, touch my finger in there, dab off the excess, and then just gently pat it onto the lid. And then you get a nice bit of shimmer without anything too harsh. So we just want a tiny bit of glitter in it. You can see that that'll just catch the light without leaving any scary streaks circa 2016. Now the suspense has probably been killing you this whole time as to what the hell I've had on my head. And the answer is overnight rollers. So I'm going to take these out so you can see how fabulous these look. And then I'll show you the whole look up close. Oh, that's hooked into my head. Okay. How's it looking? And then here is the final look. So I've actually not done that much, but I don't know about you, but I feel like I look drastically different. And hopefully you can see the little shimmery sparkles. Can you? Let me know if you can. I think my skin looks healthy and looks like it has a glow to it, probably because I'm a little bit sweaty, let's be honest, without kind of focusing in on those little bits. And I think what we have to remember is that, like, if you saw me walking down the street, your first thought wouldn't have been, look at those like bits of dry skin or red bits she has around her mouth, because if you did that, you'd be a bouncy weirdo. You know, just be nice to yourself. Like, you can do like a little bit of makeup as much as it makes you feel good, and it can like make a difference to your face, but let's not sacrifice our skin along the way. So look how lovely and shimmery that is. And I'm not gonna lie, this glow isn't really from the products. I think it's because I'm a little bit sweaty because it's very hot in here because I'm sat in front of 2 very big studio lights. And on that note, I've included some links in the description to the stuff that I've used. So if you would like to support me and my very large studio lights, please will you buy from those links? It just helps me to be able to make the content that I do. And if you have any requests for any eczema kind of content, or just anything really, just drop it in the description and I will do my best to do it in a timely manner. But if you've followed me for a while, you know that that's not always my forte, but I'm turning things around. I am, I promise. This time I really mean it. Oh, but before I go, I'm just going to show you what I used to take this off. Welcome back. I know it's no time has passed for you, but for me it has. It has been approximately 8 hours, I believe, since I did this face of makeup. You can see there. Yeah, the rest of my face looks great because I haven't put makeup on anything that was dry to begin with, so it hasn't got even drier. But anyway, the most important part of a no flare makeup routine is, in my opinion, what you take it off with. So I was originally using the Inculist Oat Cleansing Balm, and it worked fine for me until it didn't. And back when I was using eczema creams, I was a big fan of the Aveeno creams, and that had like an oat complex in. And then I found towards the end of using them that was kind of flaring me up. And obviously I've said I've had a problem with cream, so it could have just been building up a tolerance to the cream, or it could have been something to do with the ingredients, because there are studies that have shown if you put food onto eczema-prone skin, your body can then develop some kind of reaction to that. So it could have been the oat. I personally noticed that when I had that oat cleansing balm, it starts off like a yellowy tinged Vaseline colour, and then I'd notice it almost felt like it had like bits in it and would look a bit milky, and I think that was any kind of like water or humidity getting into the bottle and then causing an overgrowth of bacteria. So I think that was one of the reasons it was aggravating my skin. There've been lots of studies to show that eczema is caused by an overgrowth of bacteria on the skin. So that's my little biochemistry brain from uni, trying to figure out what happened there. Anyway, that stopped working, which is a great shame, because it was like £8 for a massive bottle. So instead, I had to upgrade to this Clinique tiny little pot. I can't remember exactly what this cost, but I know it was very expensive, and even for such a little pot. But what I would say is a little does go a long way, and I've barely scratched the surface on using this. So what I do is, with clean hands, I use my fake nails, or when I first got it I was really paranoid about getting anything in there, so I was using the end of a clean spoon as like a bit of a spatula. I forgot that I'm still wearing fake eyelashes, so let's take a step back. If you're not going to put them somewhere safe where they will stay clean and dust free, just throw them away, because do not put them back on your face. It is not worth the risk of a flare up. Okay, so back to this. You're literally just going to take this and rub it anywhere that you have put the makeup on, so like around my mouth, on my nose, all over my face. Gently rub that into the eyelash glue to get it to break down. And then I either use a damp, clean flannel. If you use a flannel to take off your makeup, I hope I don't have to say it, but please don't reuse that flannel again, put it straight into the wash. Or just, here's something I prepared earlier, some wet cotton rounds. Obviously normally I would do this in my bathroom, but it has not yet been decorated to an acceptable standard, and plus it has the extractor fan, so I didn't know how I'd be able to talk to you without that sounding really loud. I wet these a bit too much, but I didn't want them to dry out. But you can see it's like really bringing everything off there. And then I just make sure that I get everything off, and it's just as important to get off the makeup remover itself, because as I said before, any kind of moisturiser aggravates my skin, so I really want to make sure that's all off. Some people would say double cleanse. I've not felt that I have to do that, but if you think that you do, then by all means. This is just my recommendation on what works for me, so. And there we have it, back to my natural face. And on a positive note, some of that dry skin got exfoliated in the process. Very, very gently. But I hope this was helpful, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.